Guys, thanks so much for being here. It's Mike Mutzel and Deanna Mutzel. We are going to give you a review of low-carb Breckenridge and talk about some of the key things, the key takeaways in my eyes that can benefit your health, whether you're low-carb, keto, paleo, vegan, whatever macronutrient priority or diet you adhere to, you will benefit from this discussion. So that's what we're talking about, and we want to make sure that we answer your questions. So we got Facebook over here, we got YouTube right here, and I have the chat here. So if you have anything that you want to ask Deanna or I from the male or female perspective, please do so. But low-carb Breckenridge, it's second year that I went. I live streamed it 3 years ago. It's an awesome event. Jeffrey Gerber, give him 2 thumbs up. Really good event. If you guys just type in low carb Breckenridge 2018, you can get access to the replays and all that sort of stuff. They're going to pull some of them out for free, but there was a lot of great speakers there. Nina Teicholz, Stephen Finney, Ben Bickman, a lot of people that we've interviewed on this channel. Some of you guys have seen these interviews, but some key takeaways that I wanted to share with you. And I think one thing that's kind of interesting, Deanna, you got a little sick beforehand.
Yes, unfortunately. I missed the trip. I was really bummed.
Yeah.
So, I was supposed to fly out Wednesday, and our daughter and I got sick, and so we were stuck here.
Mm-hmm. So Deanna didn't make it, but that's interesting. So as you can tell, I kind of got a little bit of what they were getting. Didn't totally get fully sick, but just a little congested. And I think it's a great tip, great leeway into one of the key takeaways that I wanted to share with you, and this notion of immuno-metabolism and how it relates to fasting and fat loss and insulin. And you'll notice if you guys are testing your blood glucose or your blood ketones, you'll notice that when you're sick or about to get sick, your ketones are going to be way off and your blood sugar is going to be up. And this really has to do with something that I'm very passionate about. If you guys have read my book, Belly Fat Effect, which I know you read, Deanna, and Stephen Finney gave a whole talk about immunometabolism, and it's something that we kind of forget about when it comes to this low-carb ketogenic style diet and the benefits of that. But a few things you want to take away. So you didn't test your ketones or blood glucose.
No.
But if Deanna were to have tested her ketones, they would have been off.
Yeah.
Because the body is going to, the immune system, when it's mounting an immune response, preferentially likes to use glucose to upregulate pro-inflammatory signaling pathways, migrating of different immune cells, free radical, release and all that sort of stuff. So just key tip, guys, if you're feeling off, if you're stressed or you're traveling, your blood sugar is going to be up and your ketones are going to be down. That's totally, absolutely normal. So don't be freaked out. These are transient. There's a lot of transient metabolic shifts within the body. And as Stephen Finney, I know Deanna's got some questions here, immuno-metabolism. So this is this whole connected field between the immune system and the metabolic system. Stephen Finney talked a lot about this, how one aspect of intermittent fasting, time-restricted feeding, and the ketogenic diet that can benefit you is due to how the ketones downregulate pro-inflammatory pathways within the body. So it's super cool. You and I have talked about this before, and like Alessandro Ferretti, we've talked about this before too in many other podcast episodes. But really, I mean, if you look at the onset of obesity, even in children, or the onset of type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, like we tend to think that diabetes is characterized by high levels of blood sugar or high levels of insulin. But diabetes and insulin resistance and obesity is also characterized by, guess what? Just take a guess. Immunometabolism. Inflammation. So inflammation precipitates all these different things, right? So that's what's, so anyway, so Dr. Finney talked about, some of the research in this whole field of immunometabolism and elevated levels of white blood cell count. So when we think about measuring, are you inflamed or are you not inflamed and all that, a lot of people just think about C-reactive protein on blood work, right? Like, oh, well, my CRP is normal. That's a good proxy for inflammation as well, but there are many other proxies. For example, an elevated white blood cell count over 5. I can't remember the units on that. We got some questions here we'll get into in a minute, friends. So keep that in mind. An upstream, if we talk about like root cause resolution, this is the whole premise of functional medicine, is kind of getting at the root cause of why people are overweight, why they're insulin resistant, why they can't lose fat, why they have autoimmune disease and whatnot. Getting at the root cause, inflammation is at the root cause. And that's one key, here's key take home point. One main benefit of the ketogenic diet is it's inherently anti-inflammatory. And so that's why Sure, it can help you lose weight. Sure, it can help you have better blood sugar regulation, but by the signaling properties induced through beta-hydroxybutyrate, one of the main ketones made by your liver when your insulin is low. And the next topic we're going to talk about is glucagon. When glucagon is high, your liver makes ketones, and those are not only alternative energy substrates, they're inherently anti-inflammatory.
So we weren't sick for that long, by the way. I'm
Yeah,
noticing that now
no.
that we're keto for the most part. Inez and I, it was literally like 24 hours, but it just landed on the day that we were supposed to fly out to the Breckenridge conference, of course. So I've noticed that our immune systems are definitely just so much stronger, and it wasn't like we were super sick. It was just enough where it was, we thought it was best to stay home. So yeah, I've noticed a big difference.
In how much you get sick now that you're...
Which is hardly ever, and when we do, it's not as severe and it doesn't last that long. So.
All right, we got a ton of questions,
Whoa.
guys. So, guys, we're gonna get your comments in very, very soon. I love your live questions. I love you all being here live. Please hit that thumbs up button if you're liking this content, because I go back and I look at this, and I look at the analytics, and I just want to make sure that we're providing value to you. Yes. You being here live. We're gonna get to glucagon in just 1 minute. But another reason why, Deanna. You were just a little sick. You didn't get totally sick, but
no.
Deanna's been super busy launching food products due to your demand, to your request. Her company's RealFoodLab.net, and she was super, super busy with these guys. So if you click the link in the YouTube video below or on Facebook, if you go to RealFoodLab.net, these, just very quick backstory. So Deanna's been making amazing recipes and food for a very, very long time. And we launched with a microbiome boosting bread that was low carb and keto.
Right.
The challenge with that is people wanted the cookies instead. I mean, we eat the bread all the time at home, and we have e-courses and recipes, and they're very popular. Right. But people are like, just give me the dang low carb cookies, man. So now there's a low carb cookie dough available. And
we have a tiger nut one as well, you guys, which is almost AIP friendly for those who are can't do the nuts, but it's totally nut free. It's just the chocolate on it. Chocolate is not AIP, so that's why I couldn't say it was AIP, but it's
all good.
Clean.
It's very low carb, very microbiome friendly. It's very ketogenic. I think a lot of people that adhere to an autoimmune paleo diet would benefit from ketosis, because just like we were talking about, ketosis is anti-inflammatory. The main beta-hydroxybutyrate, the main functioning ketone body in our body, downregulates a myriad of pro-inflammatory signaling pathways, which are upregulated if you have autoimmunity. My phone's giving me a message here saying the battery might die.
Oh no.
All right, guys, we're going to get to your questions very, very soon. But there's something you got to know about. Ben Bickman brought this to our attention, and we were talking about it on a hike earlier. Ben Bickman he's at BYU University, and I think it's in Provo. I get confused between Provo and Ogden sometimes. Anyway, he was on the show back in August. It's one of our more popular videos. Excellent human being. So congruent, so genuine. You love that video. Anyway, so in the conference, he's unearthed a lot of old research about glucagon. I'm sure you've heard about glucagon before, but when we talk about fasting, when we talk about keto, we tend to think of cortisol, insulin, blood sugar. Sometimes leptin gets into the conversation, but it's mostly those hormones. But glucagon, insulin, leptin, these things are all playing a major role. And so Dr. Bickman was sharing the different, how do we make ketones? And we kind of the prerequisites that we've talked about before are, low liver glycogen, low insulin, and that's going to trigger your body, low blood glucose, that's going to trigger your liver to start to synthesize what's known as hepatic ketogenesis, or the formation of ketones. And so that sounded just so simple, and okay, well, that's all there is to the story. But Ben Bickman literally has unearthed a lot of research from the 1970s and 1980s, researchers that have studied extensively glucagon and ketogenesis. Again, the formation of ketones. And what he's found is that glucagon is a key element to stimulating hepatic ketogenesis. So I want to say gluconeogenesis, but glucagon is involved in gluconeogenesis as well. But anyway, so keep that in mind. So the recipe, if you want to become more fat adapted, to synthesize more ketones, low insulin, high glucagon, and you need carnitine on board. Again, this isn't my research. This is Ben Bickman's research. I'm just trying to share with you the salient points from his presentation. He's going to come back on the podcast, send him an email on that.
How do people test that, Mike, the glucagon?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I don't know if it's reliably found. I've never seen it on labs. But, so here's a point. Let's talk about Deanna's morning routine. So Deanna's morning routine is a very low insulin, high glucagon routine. And that's how you are able to stay very, very lean, have a six-pack year round. So your morning looks like?
So my alarm goes off at 5:30. I have coffee black, and I go out and I do just actually an easy jog outside for an hour. And it's my creativity time. There's no sprinting, there's no high cortisol. It's just super chill, and it starts my day. And I feel like it just kind of balances me out and gets me going for the rest of the day. So that's it. It's just, I look forward to it. I get my vitamin D if the sun's out here in the PNW, and,
Which lately it hasn't been.
Yeah, the fresh air, and that is it. And I'm telling you, it's a big key to keeping me lean. Not just for that one beach vacation coming up, right? It's all year long, which is the key. It's nice to feel that way all year
Totally.
long. Yeah.
But
So
I think it's, you hit a lot of low-hanging fruit by just going out and exercising, and so you feel very productive. And
right.
so there's a lot of, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, there's a lot of benefits to fasted cardio. But as I've said for many, many years and have shared with you guys on Facebook and on YouTube and so forth, one of the time-tested ways that bodybuilders and fitness models stay lean year-round is by just doing fasted cardio like you're doing. Mm-hmm. And in doing that morning routine, like Deanna highlighted on, it's good for your brain, it's good for your gut.
Right.
It's good for your circadian rhythms because you're getting sunlight. Right. But in the context of making more ketones, it's very beneficial as well. Mm-hmm. Exercise is a wonderful strategy to get your body into making more ketones. Right. When you're doing exercise fasted, Facebook is getting me a lot of messages here. Thanks for being here, guys. Getting to your questions very, very soon. So exercise in and of itself stimulates the production and synthesis of ketones. Right. And this is where we're going to transition to fasting and gender-specific applications of that. But also, when you're doing fasted exercise, guess what? You're going to upregulate glucagon. So when your body starts to get depleted of glycogen is stored sugar in the liver and the muscle. Mm-hmm. An hour or 45-minute intense walk or light jog that Deanna has been doing for quite a while is going to deplete glycogen fairly quickly. Right. Plus, if you have caffeine beforehand, right. Caffeine helps deplete glycogen. And
it's 7 days a week, okay? Not because I'm obsessed anyway, just because it's the way I start my day. And if you're taking a day off of it, 365 whatever days in a year, right? That's a lot of time off. So for me, it's just another day where I'm productive. Literally, if I don't do it, my day is just not the same. Mm-hmm. It gives me more energy, and it's fasted, completely fasted. So
yeah. I mean, that's a great point. So when I was on vacation in Colorado, because I was out there for a ski trip beforehand, we do every year, and then the low-carb Breckenridge, I made sure to go to the gym and work out. And, like Deanna's saying, is the easiest way to stick in a habit of doing whatever, eating healthy, mm-hmm. abstaining from alcohol, getting a good night's sleep, reading books, meditating, whatever. It's just to do it even if you don't feel like doing it.
It's just do it, like Nike, right? Just do it. I don't think about it. I just go through the motions and I just do it. Even if it's raining, and there's been shitty, ass weather out there some days where I just go. And at first it's kind of uncomfortable, but mm-hmm. I get used to it. No excuses, right? But it's not my workout, you guys. This is just movement. This does not include the gym time, and I am super busy like anybody else. Juggling a lot in my life, but I'm just very efficient. So you can fit it in if you really want it. That's the key.
Right.
So.
All right, tons of questions here.
Holy
all right.
moly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about, I want to talk about fasting. So again, the purpose of fasting is to help you become more fat adapted. I think one of the best ways to figure out, are you a fat burner, are you a sugar burner? Obviously, there's different testing that you can do, ketone testing, blood acetone, breath acetone and all that. But if you can go for an extended period of time without food, which humans have been doing forever, and that's why we have this ability to make ketones as the alternative to glucose, particularly for our brain, which zaps 20% of our energy every single day. It's very metabolically active. So exercise is a great way to get more fat adapted. Mm-hmm. And the question I have for Deanna, and I'm going to scroll through some questions here on YouTube, guys, is for women about fasting. So females are wired to reproduce, and and all that. And so there is like some gender specific applications. What's your general advice and what have you found in the clinic like for women and fasting?
Oh my gosh. And it's not that easy, okay? Because it's not one size fits all. So not necessarily what I do will work for you, women out there. Again, I have a background of athletics. I've been pretty healthy my whole life. I'm pretty good at managing my stress. And so I'm able to get away with time-restricted feeding by skipping a bolus breakfast. So I have a little heavy cream in my coffee, and I still consider I consider that fasting, even though it might spike my insulin a bit, but it's a tiny bit. However, it's not a lot considering how active I am during the day, because I'm very, very active in every way. I'm never sitting on my ass except for now. So I'm go, go, go. And I'll have my first meal around 1. Sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. Just when I get hungry, intuitively hungry. That's the key. It's not always the same every day, but I try to keep my feeding window to about 5 to 6 hours. And again, some days are different. It just depends on like socially what we're doing, how late I get back home, our daughter, all those different things. But I feel my best when my feeding window is about 5 to 6 hours. It may not work for you, it works for me, because I find that it gives my gut a break from digesting all of that food. I have plenty of energy. I have not lost strength at the gym. I'm strong for me. In fact, I'm probably stronger.
Since doing this, compressing the feeding window protocol.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And but there's some weeks, like for example, this week when Inez was mainly sick and I was creating a lot of the products, that I was a little kind of off. And so I did have, breakfast on Wednesday.
You had breakfast?
Oh my God, I had
Holy
breakfast. But they were eggs from our chickens.
Deanna.
But, I'm just saying that, again, there's no like, oh shit, I had breakfast. It's like, I had breakfast, great. On days that I do have 3 meals, I don't snack, or I try not to snack. And if I do snack, that's okay. I just pick good options such as like high fat, like sprouted nuts that have been soaked. So I prepare those things. So I'm always prepared with good stuff in our fridge and our cupboard. So I'm not grabbing for sugar treats and stuff like that. So yeah, but to answer your question more specifically,
well, I don't want to interrupt you, but I think that's really, really good point that you talked about. Like, so
right.
You strive to compress that feeding window to 6 hours, right?
Yes.
But if you feel hungry, then you're going to eat. And so that's, I think, the key thing. Like, it doesn't matter who you talk to on the internet, what expert or whatever. There's no one right way to do this. There's this whole field of precision and personalized medicine emerging because we're all so different, from hormonally, epigenetics, microbiome, biochemical. I mean, single nucleotide polymorphism. There's so many variances, right? And that changes with age.
And seriously, like, do you really, really are you hungry? And that is an art, okay? It's not easy because there's so many factors, like even with dopamine related things, like, if you get a massage, maybe get a massage if you feel like you're always hungry, or get some sunlight or vitamin D or exercise.
Go for a
walk.
walk.
You have all those good things in your life that make you happy and love, and you're pretty well balanced, and you're like meditating, and you're still hungry, then eat, okay? But if food is the answer for every time you're feeling like shit, there's probably something you have to evaluate in your life to change it. And that's where you get into the problems of snacking and grabbing for food and like getting into weird habits like going for the fridge every time you walk in the door in the house, which sometimes we do that, we're like, we catch ourselves, we're like, what are we doing? I'm not even hungry. So it's like, you're only human, okay? And you're gonna fall off the wagon. We all are human. It's just, as long as you can catch yourself in the moment and then kind of reset yourself in your life and your support group and everything, just make sure you're getting your needs fulfilled and, your plants are being watered, your tree, then you're doing the right thing. So
yeah, great point though. No, it's awesome, Dan. But differentiating true biological hunger versus like emotionally triggered, bad eating patterns and habits. And one small tip there, I didn't think we were going to get into this, but I think it's really awesome, is like, that's why traveling and going on a vacation is nice, because it interrupts that pattern. I find myself, like, just being gone for 6 days, when I come home, it was weird. Just such a habit. And I opened the fridge. It's like, why am I opening the refrigerator?
I know why you were. You're looking for my raw
I was
bread.
looking for and I'm like, what am I doing? So it's just these habits. And when you'll notice, and I know a lot of you have done this, you travel, you come home, and by interrupting that pattern, sometimes it's easy then to like make sweeping lifestyle changes. So if you're having a hard time kicking a food habit or a snacking habit or a mindless eating habit, just go on a quick vacation if you can. Go stay with some in-laws or your spouse or whatever, spouse's family. Do whatever you can to interrupt that.
Or the cheaper way is just to write in a journal. If you can't go on a vacation. I'm kidding.
Well, yeah.
Vacation's important, but
well, just being,
write it down.
but noting. So in meditation, in Vipassana meditation, they talk about noting. So when you think a thought of like anger, resentment, irritation, and so forth, just noting that, not judging it, not putting any attachment to that thought, but realizing that, okay, I was really pissed off in this moment. Why was that? Okay.
Right.
And like, so what Deanna said is just noting it down. Okay, even if you did have the Twinkies or the ice cream or the cupcakes or whatever, low carb, cookies, from Real Food Lab, whatever it is, just note that down and just realize that, okay, what were the circumstances that drove that behavior?
Getting to know yourself too.
Yeah.
So if you know you have the potential of grabbing for sugary snacks, don't put the freaking things in your cupboard. Don't buy them. Because if you buy them, where are they going? They're going in your mouth, right? Or your family's mouth. So just do not just
Not going in your family's mouth. They're going in your mouth.
They're going in your mouth because you hide them from your family, and then you find them, a month later, and it's that bag of chips. And it's just, look, if you know you, which I know my bad habits, my weaknesses, and I'm human, that's okay. I know me well enough to know that I'm a picker sometimes when I'm like at home. So I try to get out of the house, and I work in coffee shops, and I'm at home, I procrastinate more. So I know me, and that's okay. It's just you have to know you so that you can like get out of these just bad habits. Are we off on a tangent?
No. I think this is really, really good stuff.
So-
I mean, everyone wants to talk fasting, but
The fasting is great though, you guys, because you know what the cool thing about fasting is that you're not worrying about food because you're not eating till like 2. So
that's why I think
you're not grabbing for
it
snacks.
adds some structure to this so
That's
that
right.
if you do have these emotional triggers, if you do have these mindless eating behaviors that we all are susceptible
Yeah,
to and
okay.
probably have at some level,
Yeah.
that's why I like fasting for that application because it provides some boundaries and some buffering time.
Right. And control for those
All
control
right, the
freaks.
phone is getting all weird
Oh
here.
shoot. Yeah, for the type A'ers, you can be your best and worst enemy. So it provides structure and control, which we all love that, right? Little
So
control
I
in
think
life.
that's why it's so popular now, fasting, because it adds like the parentheses around
Makes
your
you feel
feeding
strong,
time.
too. Makes you feel like I did it.
Yeah.
Like, now I can conquer the world.
But the trick here, though, and that I want to share with you from Stephen Finney and others, this whole refeeding syndrome, which, to be honest, I wasn't really aware of that. And
I want to learn more about that.
well, I mean, so this is really, kind of had to emerge from total parental nutrition. People in the hospital getting, if their stomach is ruptured or whatever, getting TPN, and when they would go back to real food, they would just like be ravenously hungry. And when you're rapidly replenishing your glycogen, getting sugar into your cells, there can be a liberation of potassium and phosphorus and all that, and that can actually cause like sudden cardiac death. And obviously, we don't hear about this very often. There's so many people fasting nowadays, but I wanted to provide that as a context and something to consider. If you're already lean, you're already healthy, you don't have a lot of blood sugar issues. I have friends, and at seminars like this, I meet people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've been fasting for 7 days." And it's like, well, you're already lean. Like, you don't have diabetes. You're only 24.
Right.
I
Yeah,
recently
yeah.
met someone, just random, really nice person. I love when this happens at Whole
Yeah.
Foods. Bumped into me. He goes, "Mike, I like your YouTube channel. Been listening to your podcast for a while. What do you think about prolonged fasting?" And I quickly just did a glance. I don't know his blood work. I don't know his health history. But
You
he was
judged.
kind of a biohacker of sorts. I wasn't judging, but I was just like,
Judger!
he wasn't the type of person that should probably be fasting for that long.
Right.
Now, if he would have told me that both of his parents had Alzheimer's, his mom died at age 30 of, breast cancer,
Or if he had cancer.
or if he had cancer, it would make sense. But if you're just experimenting, what can happen with prolonged fasting is you have to worry about refeeding syndrome, and Stephen Finney talked about that. So thank you, Dr. Finney. And then also, we've known about this for a long time. When you restrict your calories like that, you can cause a reduction in your resting energy expenditure.
Right.
So right now, all of us watching, whether you're Facebook or YouTube, your body your metabolism is burning macronutrients, whether it's from stored fat or things that you recently ate. And that thermostat can be turned down if you're chronically fasting.
How long would you go, Mike? Would you do a 24-hour fast? Or
Well,
I mean, what do you
Deanna
think?
teases me if I go like,
Tease? What? How
if I do
funny.
too much time restricted feeding, you look skinny. So me, if you're healthy, if you don't have a lot of fat to lose, if you're a young person, I would say under 40, you don't need to fast much more than like a day a week. I mean,
And it's in the nicest possible way that I tease him, by the way. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, Mike, what have you been doing? Because normally I know he restricts his feeding time more so when he's traveling, either because he's too busy or the food's not good.
Food
or whatever.
availability is
So I
shit.
just notice these things, because I live with him,
Yeah.
and I just notice maybe his face looks a little bit different, I comment because, again, we're a part of this, and we want to share with you, what we're kind of going through. So
No, yeah, you don't have to justify it. It's all good. But I think if you're over 50, if you're worried about, preserving your brain, you're not very active, you can fast like 3 days a week. Like for, Robin Walsh, great practitioner she's in Waterloo, Ontario. One of her recommendations is like to her mostly female clients is, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're just not going to eat those days. So it's very simple. So like
you
it's
stop
Sunday
eating.
night, you would stop. So it's 7:20 here, where we are. You wouldn't eat Monday until 7:20. So it's like a 24-hour fast every other day.
There's different ways to do the fasting. In other words, is it Brad Pillen?
Yeah, Brad
Did I say
Pilon,
that
Eat
right?
Stop Eat. So
Yeah, it just depends on you. And you know what? You can change it up. Oh my gosh, you can do 16-8, and then you can do maybe Eat Stop Eat. You don't have to just do it one way.
Yeah.
Just play around with them. It's just fun to play
around
with
them.
Yeah. Different
but
methods.
the thing is, I think it's a mindset shift, and Deanna and I are of this belief, and so we're biased inherently, like all humans are biased. But we favor exercise over fasting.
Yes.
Because, I've found this to be true. There's a lot of gurus and experts in the keto space. And
Because we like food.
well, yeah, so we like food. So you have a lot, when you exercise, you have a lot more buffer room.
Right.
You can have a cheat meal here and there. You can have a low carb cookie. You can have a little bit of kombucha beer, whatever it is. You have that little buffer room.
Yeah.
And I think just fasting all the time, to me, it makes you tired for when you want to work out. So then you have
Right.
crappy workouts, and then we've talked about the metabolic effect of muscle, how muscle contributes to insulin sensitivity, to leptin sensitivity, to fat burning. I mean, if you want to burn appreciable amounts of fat, you're not going to get it from thinking all the time, even though your brain loves ketones. You're going to get it from moving your muscles. And and that's why we started the supplement company, Myoscience, Muscle Science, to give you, all of you, throughout the world, very clean nutritional products that support the growth and the maintenance of healthy muscle.
Right. Yeah.
So it's key here. And so anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about fasting. That did come up, refeeding syndrome. Google it, be aware of it. So if you're going to go on a prolonged fast, and what I mean by prolonged, I would say over 48 hours, you want to have your electrolytes, sodium, and make sure that when you break the fast, when you start to refeed, go low and slow.
Maybe don't even call it
Don't-
fasting, you guys, because that can scare some people. Like, oh no, I'm gonna starve. Like, just call it time-restricted feeding. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Well,
to help
those
you.
are different.
Time-restricted feeding, isn't it?
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
No, time restricted feeding means you're just having your feeding window for a certain period of time. Fasting means you're not eating. Now, people do generally use these interchangeably.
Okay.
So I'm not trying
there you
to
go.
say that
Yeah.
you're wrong or anything like that.
Okay. I
But
thought they were the same thing.
TRF is like controlling your feeding window.
Okay. That's my preference then.
Yeah, I think that's a key. But fasting would be like, I'm not going to eat for 24
24
hours.
hours. So it's 24 hours then. Okay.
Well,
I
no,
barely do that.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So that's what I would suggest. It doesn't really matter, just a matter of semantics.
unless we're traveling to Korea or something like that, and we're on a plane sitting on our butts for 12 hours.
It's a great time to fast because
Yeah.
you're inactive anyway. So you're
Right.
like, you don't need to be eating.
Well, generally, I'm not hungry when I'm sitting around anyway because I'm so used to moving around. But again, you know what? Like, it just, everyone's different. So,
Yeah. All right, we've been rambling. Let's make sure we get to
holy
some
ramble.
questions.
yeah, we should answer some questions.
All right,
What
so
did you-
we got Facebook questions here.
meat and mental health, Mike. You got to get to that too.
I will. All right, 14 comments here on Facebook. Okay. Robert, hello from Utah. Carolyn, thanks so much for being here. Tracy, what is up? I'm glad that you're here. Thanks so much for that. Robert says fasting after third day can trigger detox through stem cells upregulation. Okay, that's cool, Robert. I did not know that. All right, so we got a lot of stuff on YouTube. Let me jump to the YouTube stuff here. Hello from Tulsa. Glenn, thanks for being here from Tulsa. That is really, really cool. Raw Santos, love you. That's why I feel good and low carb after exercise. Thanks for that comment. That is really, really cool. Someone said that their hair fell out on keto and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so just make sure you're getting protein. And look, if your hair falls out and all this, then maybe keto isn't right for you. I know you may not want to hear that, but look, if all these adverse reactions happen, then try low carb.
Maybe just low carb.
Try low carb
Yeah.
and exercise.
Might be a little
Bobby
bit too
says,
far
it was great to, yes, Bobby, awesome. Hey, so I'm going to do that video on Ritalin and Adderall because I think it will help a lot of people with ADHD and so forth. So it was really awesome to meet you. Thank you so much for saying hello. Someone says, Real Cage says, meals at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. locked into keto with weight training, making steady gains, heading to 165 pounds down from 265. Fantastic. You're at 191. Real Cage, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more about that. Please send me an email, mike@highintensityhealth.com. I want to talk to you more about that.
And the weight training too, you guys.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Interrupted. Sorry, I didn't
Go
mean
ahead.
to. But the weight training is huge in all of this.
Yeah.
Huge.
Why?
It's such a big part.
Because
you can tell me why scientifically. You can
well,
tell me. It's just
I
helping
think
me
it-
stay lean all year long, 5 days a week lifting, and not like super heavy every single time. Just making sure that I'm there 5 days a week in the gym lifting for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
Because muscle, I mean, you just go back to the interview that we just posted with Ed Napper.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, just if there's one thing that you could do, lifting versus cardio, you're going to pick lifting any day of the week.
And we'll have stuff on that to you guys. I know a lot of people have been asking me just from a women's perspective. We haven't done a lot of fitness, and that's going to change a lot. It's going to change because
Deanna's not at the Chiro office anymore.
I've dropped Chiro as of today. It's a big deal because I've been doing chiropractic for 20 years because I want to reach out to more of you and kind of give to as many people as I can regarding fitness, nutrition. So yes, regarding raw breads, we will eventually launch it again for sale for those who don't want to make it. But back to fitness. Fitness is huge, and there's, an art to it. For sure, and we're going to help you with that. So we're super excited to kind of go after it soon.
Yeah, so hit that like button if you want to learn more about
Yes,
fitness, from
please,
squatting,
and let us know.
deadlifting,
Yeah.
how to get a six-pack through training,
Right, let us know what you
post-workout,
want.
pre-workout. Seriously, hit that like button and type in a comment.
Yeah.
We're going to go back and review that.
And you'd be surprised. It's not, some of it's not traditional stuff that you think. For women over 40, especially, like my workouts have changed a lot, and I'm probably leaner than I was in my 20s. So women out there over 40, give us a thumbs up if you do want more of that, please, because it takes a lot of time to do it and to get the content out there, and we want to know that it's benefiting everybody. So.
Yep. All right. So Chad says how to increase beta-hydroxybutyrate or butyrate on keto rather than resistance start. So Chad, great question there. So how do you increase butyric acid? Well, here's a little thing that a lot of people don't really recognize. Beta-hydroxybutyrate, the main ketone body, is very structurally and biochemically similar to butyric acid made by your gut bacteria. So I would say don't really worry about specifically trying to increase butyric acid from your diet. Focus on dietary diversity, a wide range of different colors and fiber sources in your diet, not from grains and all that, but this is stuff. Deanna has a lot of videos on this, and in her, Real Food Lab,
Much more to come.
raw veggie bread e-course and all that sort of stuff. If you just go to highintensityhealth.com, look in the course section, you will see all that. But leeks, onions, curcumin, garlic, rosemary, these are all fiber sources and phytonutrient sources that are low carb and keto friendly, but also good for your microbiome. And to answer your question about butyric acid, they will increase butyric acid. So hopefully that helps. Mandy says, so I tried 15 times a day and body weight slows so much. Mandy, I don't know what you're talking about. 15 minutes a day, is that exercise? I don't really know. You want to make sure that you're doing resistance training, probably.
I heard about bone broth when fasting. I saw it. Was it a Chris? But Chris, I like bone broth when I'm fasting, or any kind of broth in general. I make homemade because you know what's in it and where they come from. So I think it's good, and that's what I do when I'm fasting. If I'm hungry, if I'm sort of hungry in the morning, what do you think?
I think bone broth is not really fasting. I mean, if that's fine. But no. I mean, a lot of people like to do it, and that's fine. But I think
Veggie broth.
if you're going to get the most benefits of fasting, veggie broth will be better than bone broth.
I do veggie broth, not bone broth.
Yeah.
Is what I meant to say.
And so that's really rich in like bone broth too is rich in all the, and we love bone broth. I have
Yes.
a bone broth video. Is one of my first videos. It's got 300,000 views. I love bone broth, but it also has collagen and protein, and it could spike insulin. And the whole thing about fasting is you want to drive insulin down.
Right.
You want to get autophagy going. You want to do cellular renewal, all that sort of stuff. So I think just electrolytes Seeking Health makes an awesome electrolyte. SeekingHealth.com, check them out. Or you can get some, like as James D. Nicolantonio has talked about, just Celtic sea salt or Redmond real salt, and use salt.
What about like miso soup?
Yeah, I think that's probably
Low
fine.
sodium, like a homemade miso
But
soup? Okay.
you know, we should do a video on how to make a vegetable broth.
Yeah, I do it all the time, and they're good.
And it's like
They're
zero
really good.
calories, zero protein.
So good, yeah.
It's not that we're anti-meat or anti-animals, nothing to do with that. It's
Right.
just, it's not going to trigger insulin release, and it's going to just be chock full of these minerals that you're going to need, whether you're a keto, low carb, or fasting.
And a lot of it's made with just veggies that need to be eaten in the fridge, you guys. So it's like literally dumping it into a pot.
So
it's convenient.
Mandy Betos, you have like a million questions here. I'm not really. It says you've got a lot of lab work. You've had a lot of trouble. We're doing a spring into keto masterclass. I would hit that link below. You may want to sign up for that. You would probably benefit from that.
Yes, Sarah, regarding fasted exercise and when you should eat your first meal, maybe do a little test and see after your fasted exercise, how do you feel? Do you have to eat right after? You know, isn't there a benefit to kind of going even longer, like with growth hormone?
Totally.
So, like, you know, I think as you get more fat adapted, could be wrong here, and used to doing fasted exercise, you'll notice you can still go till about 1 or 2 if you really want to do it.
Yeah.
I do all the time. And I'm doing an hour, and then, you know, back beforehand was going to the chiropractic office and adjusting patients active. And then around 2, I'm like, oh, I think I could eat. You know, and I really try to think that, and then I have stuff prepared for that first, you know, break in the fast. So you're not eating bonbons or a big pizza or something like that.
Yeah, great thing. So Sarah, it really depends. You know, a couple things. How long have you been training? How intense are your workouts?
Right.
If your workouts are kind of, you know, you're just like going like this. I'm not saying they are.
What's wrong with that?
Then you can definitely fast for long after you work out. But if you're like squatting 250 pounds or you're really going to true failure, and you're hungry afterwards, then by all means eat and recover.
Or if you have a desk job that you're going to after the fasted, you know, exercise, maybe just try to get through to the sitting for a little while. And if you're like at Microsoft or Amazon or Google, you know, most people have a desk job, then maybe you really don't need to eat. It's, you know, after lifting, yes, though.
You could get some branched chain amino acids,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that. So anyway, it really depends. How intense you're lifting. Listen to your body, like Deanna's been saying this whole time.
Yeah. It's not always easy.
So yeah, I mean, the fitness industry has tried to sell us a lot of protein powders for many years, and so there's been a lot of biased research suggesting that we need to eat like within this post-workout window. You know, I mean, if you look at animals and hunters after they exert themselves very extensively for killing predators and stuff, they don't eat right away. They're like, I'm going to take a break.
Right.
You know, and I mean, exercise is very stressful, upregulating catecholamines and adrenaline and noradrenaline and cortisol and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And when you're stretching your body out, when you're working out intensely, that does cause intestinal hyperpermeability. I talk about this in my book, Belly Fat Effect, at length. There was a research study actually in, it was Marines that were doing some training. Right. And after they did a lot of physical activity, they looked at their gut permeability, and there was a, the lactulose mannitol test, and they looked at zonulin, and that was off. So if you like balls to the wall CrossFit workout,
Balls to the wall.
you know, if you do an extensive workout, you'd probably want to wait a little bit before you eat anyway, because your gut's going to be pretty inflamed.
Think of it this way, though. Let me just.
Yeah.
Okay, what was that one documentary we watched, or ongoing documentary about the meat eater that's out there hunting, where it's basically a tribe. They go, they kill the animal, monkey maybe.
It's called Meat Eater on Netflix.
Yeah, the whole process of dragging it, cleaning it, cutting it, all that stuff, instead of just going to the grocery store and, you know, opening a package. Think about the time that it takes to do that, okay? And then getting it back into their tribe and then sharing the food. And sometimes they'd only eat one meal a day. So I loved that show. Yeah. You know, and they all looked healthy and lean and mean and energetic. And I'm not saying it's the right way to do it, but, you know, I mean, that's just kind of how it was, hunter and gatherers. They didn't eat right away when they killed the animal. They had to, like, disinfect it and, you know, cook it and, I don't know.
No, it makes a lot of sense. So it's like, an industry has taught us that we need to do certain things, but in the real world, and not that we all want to be unindustrialized hunters in, you know, Bolivia. But, you know, the body is, the body will function that way, and you can build muscle. So Carl says, is there a way to do a consult? Yes. Email me, Mike@highintensityhealth.com. I will get you set up. Hello from Montreal. Carl again. Why is some food stuck on my tooth and ingesting it during fasted state? Probably not if there's a little piece of food on your tooth. That's a good question, but
I mean, really, but it's,
hello from Massachusetts. So if you're not hungry, do you just not eat? Yeah, Robin, yeah. And so that's kind of a catch-22 with the whole keto thing because it can kind of foster. Some people have brought this up before. Tamsin Lewis, we did a podcast with her. I think it was in September range. Anorexia. So is anorexia and these eating disorders, are they chasing the mental elation and mental clarity associated with ketosis? It's kind of an interesting hypothesis and something to think about. So you do have to be aware. I mean, when you're keto, you're basically not going to want to eat sometimes. And so that can be tough if you're trying to put on muscle and if you're very active. So good point.
If you're at a point too, like a lot of people who have those eating disorders are constantly like, you kind of know you have a problem. I mean, well, maybe not, but you're thinking about food all the time. Like when it becomes an obsession, maybe it's something's off. But if like you're fat adapted and like a meal is coming, I think that's different, right? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here.
I was just reading some stuff on here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that has come up about soy and all this sort of stuff. Bolus workout. So dude, vegan guy, bro says bolus of protein after workout, like 30 grams. It really depends. I would say, dude, vegan guy, bro, play around with it a little bit. Experiment and just kind of see. Start writing these things down. Deanna's great about tracking everything. Just track and see what
works. Except for macros.
Yeah, right.
I don't do that.
So Richard says, I love this channel. Hey, thanks for that, guys. And I think that's pretty much it. There are a bunch of different things, but Tom says, quick thought on increasing protein as we age. Yeah, so you do want to increase protein with age. So Gabrielle Lyon talked all about muscle protein synthesis and how we become more desensitized. And so I do think that protein requirements with age is something to consider. So friends, this was really, really a lot of fun. I'm so grateful that you're here, that you're watching. Please hit that like button, tag a friend that may benefit from this, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Got some really, really, really awesome interviews coming. And if you want to try Deanna's amazing cooking, definitely go to realfoodlab.net. This cookie dough is freaking amazing.
Can you open a seal, Mike? It's vegan, you guys. It's low carb. It's keto friendly.
It's really good stuff.
Seed. It's made in small batches. We worked really hard to get out there. Super clean, and hope you guys love it. And you can always personal message me at Real Food Lab on Instagram if you have any questions regarding ingredients or anything like that. So
cool. Yeah. All right, friends, we're gonna sign off. Hope you have an awesome week. Thanks for being here on a Sunday night. Yes. And I don't know where we sign off on it. Where is the YouTube thing? There we are. We're gonna stop. 42 minutes. Wow, we made it all this hour. All right, if you're still here, I really, really am grateful for that. We will catch you on the next podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.